Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, my dear class 7 students. Welcome to half yearly session. Right? You've completed your first monthly session and you've completed your exams as well. Most of you appeared the exam. It's quite encouraging. Now we start our half yearly syllabus. In your language syllabus, from secondary English, if you have noticed and downloaded the syllabus from your portal, you have seen that from secondary English, you have from Assalamu alaikum class. I think for the network connection problem, we missed a few minutes. I'll start from the beginning. In half yearly, secondary English, you have from unit 5 to 8. For creative writing also, we are going to start from unit 5 and end at unit 8. Today, unit 5, if it is possible, I'll touch unit 6 as well. From unit 5, creative writing page is page 75. Page 75, please. Now here, we focus on the descriptive writing. Okay? In half-yearly syllabus, we focus on descriptive writing. Now please come to page 76, where a beautiful piece of descriptive writing is given. It's actually, I think, the descriptive portion of a big piece of writing. Let's take a look. The Great Tide Pool. It is a fabulous place. See, when you write a descriptive essay, you need to put a lot of effort on the descriptive words. A lot of descriptive words will make your writing a descriptive essay. Simple. You need to describe place, people, object, situation, event. For that reason, you need descriptive words. And descriptive words are adjectives and adverbs. Adjectives describe noun, adverbs describe verbs, adverbs and other adjectives. Let us continue. It is a fabulous place, fabulous adjective. When the tide is in, a wave-churned basin, creamy and foam, weaved by the combers that roll in from the whistling ball of the reef. But when the tide goes out, the little water world becomes quiet and lovely. The sea is very clear and the bottom becomes fantastic with herring, fighting, feeding, breeding animals. Crabs rush from front to front of the waving algae. Starfish squat over mussels and limpets, attach their million little suckers and then slowly lift with incredible power until the prey is broken from the rock. And then the starfish stomach comes out and envelops its food. Orange and speckled and fluted nudie branches slide gracefully over the rocks, their skirts waving like the dresses of Spanish dancers. See how beautifully things are described here, using a lot of relevant and appropriate adjectives. Along with adverbs, we need necessary to describe some action or some other adjectives. So that thing you need to pay full attention to, where you just simply write descriptive essays. Just remember, you need to describe it vividly so that the readers feel that they are experiencing the whole matter, or they are just seeing the object in front of their eyes. Now the questions given on 77, those are, technical questions. We are not going through those because we are not studying from the point of view of comprehension. We are just going through the writing techniques of descriptive essay. Now please come to page 78. Page 78, unit 5. Here, 5 choices are given altogether. Number 1, drama in the surf. Surf, that means. here you need to write a descriptive, the surf, how people, they surf on the sea with the surfboard. I think you have seen it on foreign TV channels and even in movies. And those who surf in the ocean on surfboards, they are called surfers. So how you write it is totally up to you. I personally think that it might be a little difficult. Number 2, the rescue. It's beautiful. You can write a descriptive essay or even a story. Number 3, it started off as a quiet holiday. This is the first line. Okay? And then you need to continue writing. And at the end, think about a good title that goes with it to just put it in front. Sometimes it will happen that you will get the first sentence, the narrative essay or the descriptive essay or even a story. The first sentence will be given. In that case, you need to start your story or essay with that first sentence. And the words there are also counted. The word limit that is given to you, you will find that the words given, the sentence that is given in the question paper, those are also counted. So lucky, right? Sometimes you get even 12, 13, 15 words given. You need to start with those lines. Don't you ever think that you can miss out those lines, or those lines are the topics or the title. A title cannot be a full sentence. You have to remember that. There cannot be a full sentence as a title. A title is just a title. It can be in a word or in a phrase, but never can be in a complete sentence. So when a sentence or half of a sentence is given and then the dots are given, you need to assume that that's the beginning of your essay or story. So you need to continue with that line and then continue writing. Start with those lines, continue writing, and then when you finish it, you need to take a thorough look of your writing just to find a perfect title for it. A perfect title will complete your writing. Number 4, the day of the big competition. Any competition it can be. It can be even your final exam. That's also a competition, isn't it? So you need to describe that day and how others are feeling, the anxiety, the tension. Number 5, I've never been much of a swimmer. This is also the first sentence, and then you need to continue writing. And at the end, after reading your own writing at least once, you need to give a suitable title. Otherwise, if you don't give title, you might lose marks. Not actually might, you will lose marks. Sometimes titles are given, that's fine. Sometimes it's not given, that's also okay. You need to put your own title and you can't just miss out that. So that's all for Unit 5, which took us quite less time. Remember, we are focusing on descriptive writing skills this time anyhow. Now, we need to go to Unit 6, where the creative writing is on page 93. Unit 6, page 93. There's the creative writing page of Unit 6. Now, here also descriptive point of view we will go through. It is telling to describe people. 2 fascinating people are described in this section. They are a heavily perfumed count and a nursing sister called Snorting Lil. What makes them so fascinating? As you will see, it's partly the skillful description of physical appearance, the face, the body, the manners, the clothes. However, physical appearance by itself is not enough. The attention given to mannerisms, habits, and particular characteristics adds vitality and brings out the individuality of each of the people described. Now let's look at each of the descriptions. First read them for enjoyment, then more closely answering the questions. We are not answering the questions. We'll read these for enjoyment and to find out how two characters are very well described here, so that when you write your descriptive essay regarding any descriptive topic given, or you describe people in your story, this discussion will be helpful there. The first one is the Count, described below by Gerald Darrell, is beautifully groomed by excessively perfumed. Margot is the writer's sister. A heavily perfumed Count. A Count, we have Jamidar in our continent, South Asian continent. So that's a kind of similar status. These people that we find, I think, in England, Count's wife, Countess. So here, let's see. 3 days later, the Count appeared. He was tall and slender, with tightly curled hair as golden as a silkworm cocoon, shining with oil, a delicately curled moustache of a similar hue, and slightly protuberant eyes of a pale and unpleasant green. He alarmed Mother by arriving with a huge wardrobe trunk, and she was convinced that he had come to stay for the summer. But we soon found that the Count found himself so attractive, he felt it necessary to change his clothes about 8 times a day to do justice to himself. His clothes were such elegant confections, beautifully hand-stitched, and of such exquisite materials that Margot was torn between envy and his wardrobe and disgust at his effeminacy. Combined with this narcissistic preoccupation with himself, the Count had other equally objectionable characteristics. He drenched himself in a scent so thick that it was almost visible, and he had only to spend a second in the room to permeate the whole atmosphere. While the cushions he leant against and the chairs he sat reeked for days afterwards. See here in this quite medium-sized paragraph, in only one paragraph, how beautifully a character is described here. It's not only the appearance, the character's mannerisms, habits, every single thing is described, even the temperament. Okay, here the Count is, quite enchanted personality and quite showy tendency and boasting a lot. He wears a lot of clothing, expensive, and also heavily perfumed. How silly, isn't it? And it, how it arises a lot of fun among the readers. It amuses the readers. And you need to take a very close look of the descriptive words used here. This one is about a heavily perfumed Count. Now we will come to page 95, where we find a nurse is described. The hospital nursing sister described here by Monica Dickens is a formidable character who runs her outpatients department with terrific energy. Now it is nursing Sister Lily. Sister Lily was short and square and possessive, with inadequate legs and tiny feet in buckled shoes. She wore her cap very high on the top of her head and seemed to have come to some arrangement with the laundry to put more starch in her aprons than in everyone else's. She behaved as if, instead of the department being run for their benefit, the doctors and patients were there on sufferance. The nurses under her were my nurses and could do no wrong. She fought the matron for extra off duty for them and bought buns for their tea, although once they had done their 3 months and left the department, she would scarcely say good morning to them on the stairs. She liked to plant herself in the middle of a surgical clinic as if she were on a revolving stand, directing the traffic of patients scuttling in and out of examination rooms and nurses slapping on fermentations and winding elastoplast round varicose veins and glaring at the surgeon if he dirtied too many towels. A combination of cater and disapproval, both chronic, had earned her the nickname of Snorting Lil. See, a sister, maybe the head matron of a hospital, is so well described. The character is quite, eccentric. And how she behaves, her physical structure, her clothing habit, it's quite different than the count we have read on page 94 though, but still both the characters are very well described here. That is the thing you need to be focused on while you describe people. Just remember, you need to focus on the descriptive words, adjectives and adverbs. Now please come to page 96. Come to page 96, please. 6 topics are given here. Number 1, a job for Supergirl. What do you think a job for Supergirl will be? When girls write it, they can take this topic, a job for Supergirl. When boys write it, they can write a job for Supergirl. That will be fine, I think. And you need to very clearly describe the job, the responsibility. When we say job, we actually mean responsibility. Number 2, suddenly I found I had acquired superhuman powers. That's amazing, isn't it? That is the first line of your essay. Suddenly, you found that you have acquired superhuman powers. It can be of any power. Superhuman eyesight, superhuman hearing. Okay? You need to, fix which particular superhuman power you want to acquire. Number 3, the best film I have ever seen. The best film. Okay? Here I think most of you will be writing about Hindi movies. As far as possible, you avoid that. Even if you want to write, avoid the describing heroes, then songs, avoid those. Number 4, the worst film I have ever seen. The worst film. Here also, I would like to suggest to select any Hindi movies. Even if you do, as usual, don't go for those hero heroines description or the songs. Number 5. My favorite film star. Here, you describe a film star. Okay, so here you are allowed to focus on any particular film star. Describe physical aspects, clothing, mannerism, habit, as are possible. Number 6, if I rule the world. That's first sentence. Incomplete sentence though. If you rule the world, what you will do, how you will rule it, what change you will bring to the world. So here, if I rule the world, then you continue writing, and then at the end, you give your own title. Here, number 2 and number 6 are the beginning of your essays. At the end, you have to give your own title. And the others are plain descriptive topics. Now, people, I want you all to remember that when you write descriptive essays, you need to focus on descriptive words. Descriptive words, which will include adjectives and adverbs. And then don't forget about the standard sentence construction. Please work on standard sentence construction. Okay? Because if your sentence constructions are not advanced, not standard enough, you're actually not getting good marks. Okay? And you have to work hard for it as you are in class 7 now. You have to work really hard to make your writing standard updated. For that reason, as I said always, I say it once again, that you need to read books. You need to read books, read magazines to find out what you need to know from there, along with the passages on secondary English book. See on page 76, page 76, unit 5, the break type rule. This will help you to find out descriptive words, and then 2 description of characters here on page 94 and 95 will also help you to understand actually how you are going to follow it. So I think I have explained myself well. All you have to do is to go through the descriptions in the creative writing section from both Unit 5. Unit 5 you have only 1 description, and in Unit 6 you have 2 descriptions of 2 characters. Just to understand how you are going to describe the event, the characters, everything, and make sure you work very hard on standard sentence construction and on adjectives and adverbs. Make sure adjectives and adverbs are very important for your description essay, because adjectives are going to describe a noun and adverbs are going to describe the words, adjectives and other adverbs. So you have to be very careful about it. Okay? So So far I think from Unit 5 and Unit 6, we have completed our discussion. And my suggestion is, please go for as many topics of your convenience. Go for writing. In exam, the word limit was given very less as it was an online exam. But I would like to suggest that at home you write up to 280 words and 2 body paragraphs. That is best for you. Please don't write small writings at home. Write the standard length. So I believe that's all for today's class.